Actually, I am gonna decide to split up the topics. Um, yeah, I am gonna split up the topics just for the fuck of it. Because I don't know if I want to tie emotional intelligence to emotional dysregulation because they do connect in a way and they do overlap. But I think maybe because somebody, if I put the two videos together, then somebody for that's looking up emotional intelligence will stumble upon emotional regulation, and people and someone that's looking up the emotional regulation will stumble upon the emotional intelligence, and then I'm just getting two communities that looked up two different topics in the comment section, and I don't know if I want that. So, but just to let you know, even though this video is about mainly emotional dysregulation, just to let you know, a little bit in the other video about emotional intelligence, a little bit, mostly at the end of the emotional intelligence video, I did talk about emotional dysregulation and regulation in general. So if you're interested, you can check out that first part. But yeah, I'm gonna split it up. Um, so with the emotional intelligence bullshit out of the way, which I don't even know if EQ is even real at this point. I even looked up like who created this whole EQ stuff, and it said it was created. I don't know, like a couple years ago. I don't know how many years ago. I don't know. There's a lot of psychological things that I don't believe in, or that I do believe in, but it's like a lot of these articles get it wrong or they paint everybody as all the same. And that's why I don't really like a lot of psychological information on the internet, or just psychology in general, because a lot of psychologists kind of get it wrong. Or it's either that or I'm a very weird individual because I experience This is why I thought I had schizotypal or personality disorder or some, because I experience my emotions very weird. Like the types of emotions that I have, the types of reactions that I have for things are very odd. That's why I thought I had cluster A personality disorder, but apparently I don't. One psychiatrist said schizoaffective. I think there were some that were hinting on the possibility of me being borderline, and I've had many of them say I had ADHD, but I'm skeptical of ADHD because I was never medicated for that, even though they told me I had it. And they said I had autism, but I'm a little bit skeptical of that. I know autism is a spectrum. There's a lot of symptoms of autism that I kind of really don't really relate to. I feel very aware of definitely my emotions. Like I'm definitely like this does kind of tie into. I know I'm getting kind of off topic here, but this does kind of tie into emotional dysregulation a little bit. I'm definitely not alexithymic. I never really related to that. I definitely know what I'm feeling. Like definitely. Like I know what I'm feeling more than what other people are feeling. But I think I have both. I think I can identify my emotions and other people's emotions. So autism doesn't really fit me that well. But if I had the choice of what can I identify, what can I recognize more, definitely I can recognize my emotions more than other people's. Because sometimes I can misread people, but not as bad as autistic people, or I don't know. Well, anyways, to get to the emotional dysregulation, I know this is supposed to be a music channel, but sometimes you will get these videos from me. You know, I do sometimes tend to talk on here, I guess. Okay, so, anyways, it's very rare though. Usually, I turn my thoughts into a song. Um, anyways, emotional dysregulation. Um, yeah, there's a lot of like I said in my part one. There's a lot of um. So yeah, there's the big myth of emotional intelligence is that you have to have all of those symptoms of blaming other people, not knowing your emotional awareness or whatever the fuck, and that's not true. That's a big myth of low emotional intelligence, that you have to have all those signs. You don't. Um, the myth of emotional dysregulation is basically the same thing. A huge myth. Maybe I'm just speaking for me. So maybe you don't relate to this. Maybe you do have alexithymia. Maybe you do have issues identifying. Uh, like maybe you do have issues with putting a name on your emotions. But I'm only speaking for myself, and I don't relate to that. What I'm trying to get at is that. What am I trying to get at? Um, basically, a lot of these articles for emotional dysregulation say we lack emotional awareness, we lack self-awareness, we lack social awareness, something like that. Like we lack awareness of our emotions. And I don't really relate to that, you know. It is true for me that, you know, I feel the emotion before thinking about it logically. Like the emotion floods my brain first. Like anger, like for me, it's mainly anger. It's not really sadness. Like I don't cry about small stuff, you know. For me, my biggest emotional dysregulation would be anger specifically. But I know why I'm angry, you know. Um, I know why I'm angry either right after it happened when the damage has been done, or during the. I mean, obviously, if I'm fucking slapping a object around in the moment, I know that I'm angry. I find it very odd. I'm not trying to. Maybe I shouldn't use the word odd, but I find it very unrelatable that there's people out there where they're doing the same thing as I'm doing, you know, slapping an object around, throwing an object around, and in that moment, they didn't even know that they were angry. I don't relate to that. Or even people where um, they don't know the anger is building until it's too late. I kind of relate to that. I will admit, maybe I am emotionally blind in a way, kind of like maybe I am a little bit alexithymic because sometimes I blow up like 2 days later or hours later, and I don't know it's building. But usually I do know the anger is building. Like usually I do know. I just don't care to regulate it in a healthy way. See, that's the thing with me is that I'm on step one, which is identifying the emotion or the feeling or whatever, which is anger, and I'm at step two, which is knowing why you're feeling that way. I definitely know why. Some people don't even. Some people feel the emotion, but they don't know why. They say, "Oh, I'm sad for no reason. I'm angry for no reason," when there probably is a reason. Do not relate. I know what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling it. The issue that I can never get to step 3 or 4 or 5, which is what do you do with it in a healthy way. I always I don't think about how to control my anger. I just react, you know, like a crazy chimpanzee or something. You know what I mean? Um, I either do that or there's even, I think I might have self defeating personality disorder. I think I might have that because there's even times where I'm looking at all the options on my table, but I still choose the stupidest option, which is act with revenge, kind of like the Joker, kind of like in a way where I still take the risk taking opportunity. I don't know why. I don't know if it's masochism. I don't know what it is. I can't find anything on the internet about it, but I choose. You should look up self-defeating personality disorder. You can't get diagnosed, but maybe that's what I have. Maybe that's why. Because sometimes I choose situations that lead me to failure. I don't know why. It's not like I am a sexual masochist, but in this context, I'm not talking about that. For me, it's not in this context, it's not like a fetish. It's just, I don't know why. I don't know if it has to do with my low IQ because I have a low IQ of 74. Or I don't know if that's what it is. But basically, what I'm trying to get at is that a lot of these articles, in a nutshell, that talk about emotional dysregulation, a lot of these articles, not all of them, but a lot of these articles that talk about emotional dysregulation, they say that we lack emotional awareness. And because we don't know what we're feeling, or even if we do know what we're feeling, but we don't know the trigger, that's the reason why we're lashing out. And I don't think that's the reason why I'm lashing out, you know? I think the real reason why I lash out is because I don't care to use a strategy to fix it, or I don't know the strategy to fix it. You know what I mean? Um, I don't know. I've saved so many articles talking about. I'm not gonna show you all of them, you know, but kind of goes back to here, you know. But yeah, it's just I don't really relate. Is there anybody out there that feels the same way I do? Because I obviously have awareness. You know what I mean? And it pisses me off that these articles are telling me that, you know, I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I'm trying. I really want to make jokes here. But I don't know if I'm gonna offend people. But it really irritates me how they paint me as some clueless Joe Schmo, some average Joe that's just clueless, um, and it just kind of pisses me off because that's not the case, you know. And this is where I started looking. I gave up looking up emotional intelligence because that topic pissed me off. Um, and then I got somehow led to emotional dysregulation, which is kind of similar to that topic. And then I got fed up with emotional dysregulation because I got fed up looking that up. I got fed up looking that up because emotional dysregulation is very vague. Because emotional dysregulation isn't necessarily anger; it could actually be a plethora of things. You know, maybe 1 minute you're happy, next minute you're sad. Maybe 1 minute you're happy, next minute you feel embarrassed. So emotional dysregulation was too umbrella vague of a word so that I stopped looking that up because it started to irritate me that it says that we go to 0 to 60 miles per hour with our emotions, which I do relate to that. Not totally, because there is legit people that say, I have no middle ground for emotions. There is people like that. I don't relate to that. I do have middle ground. It's just very rare, you know. So I stopped looking that up because I got fed up, and I tried looking up similar, more specific topics, and that's where it led me to anger, because that's my biggest issue is anger. And when I looked up anger issues, I didn't really see that much or even at all. Stupid assumptions that you lack emotional awareness. You don't even know that you even feel anger. That's why you're angry. You don't even know why you're angry. That's why you're angry. I didn't see any of that, thankfully. Again, maybe there is some Joe Schmo down the street that is totally clueless as to what he's feeling, or even if he does know that he's angry, he doesn't know why he's. Okay, good for you. You have alexithymia. Okay, I don't relate to that. I'm sorry. Again, I really want to make jokes here and kind of get a little bit of offensive, but I don't want to offend the clueless people. You know what I mean? I don't want to offend people that are socially, emotionally clueless, but I just hate it when these articles paint me as if I don't know what's going on. I damn well know what's going on. I just kind of don't care, you know? Um, yeah, and then I started looking up, and this is where I started looking up the sociopath thing, which apparently I do have antisocial personality traits, apparently. No doctor ever had the guts to tell me that with his mouth, but I got paperwork one time that said antisocial personality problems. I don't know if that means I have the full-on disorder. Maybe so. Then I started looking that up. I'm not high functioning, but I was just looking up, you know, how do they act versus how I act, and then I started looking up like what's the emotional intelligence of sociopaths. I started looking that up. Sociopath. I started looking all that shit up. Emotional dysregulation, yeah. I mean, emotional dysregulation is highly tied to ADHD. Again, I don't know if that's truly what I have because I do have attention issues, but I was never medicated, and there's a lot of symptoms of ADHD I don't really relate to. Like, I am sensitive, but not to like every single thing. And I'm not trying to create a stereotype at all for ADHD. I'm not at all. But another reason why other than never getting medicated, another reason why I'm questioning if I have ADHD or not is, and I'm not trying to create stereotypes at all. I don't mean to offend anybody with ADHD, but a lot of y'all with ADHD have high intelligence, high IQ. Now, I try very hard to push back against this stereotype, but it's very hard to not believe in this stereotype when all of the comments or all of the posts on the internet, um, well, not all of them, but a lot of them mention how they have a high IQ. Sometimes I don't even, because people could say, well, you're looking for this. You're looking up ADHD and intelligence, and you're intentionally seeking this shit out. That's not always true. Sometimes I bump into it by accident. Sometimes I bump into information about ADHD. Like, looking up ADHD is not an accident. What is the accident that I bump into is, okay, I'm researching about ADHD, and then all of a sudden someone's talking about them having ADHD, which that's what I was looking for. But then their comment or the video or whatever it somehow derails to, oh well, I have a high IQ, so because of my high IQ, yeah, I have all these achievements, but I'm very burnt out on life, and I don't really relate to that. Or like, oh, I have ADHD, and then they'll get off topic. They'll get off topic about being gifted or something like that. And I don't really relate to that. I'm not gifted at all. So sometimes I don't even look up this shit. Sometimes people just randomly talk about their giftedness, which that's fine, but I'm not gifted. I'm sorry. I was not in gifted education. I was in special education. So I'm not trying to create stereotypes for people with ADHD, but it's very hard to find people with ADHD that have average IQs, and it's extremely rare to find people with low intelligence, low IQ, uh, with ADHD. Like I can't find that anywhere. That's why I'm starting to think that maybe I don't have ADHD at all, and it's just BIF, borderline intellectual functioning, which that's my disorder that I have, one of my many disorders, and I'm thinking maybe that's what it is. My angry outbursts and my low attention span, it's all just due to BIF. Not Back to the Future BIF, but but yeah, I'm probably gonna end this video. This is why I stopped reading articles and going to therapy, because I'm sick of these articles, these ridiculous articles, and these ridiculous therapists telling me what am I feeling, what am I not feeling, why I'm feeling this, why I'm not feeling that, what am I, what's my disorder, which I understand that's a part of therapy, but I don't agree with the diagnosis a lot of the times. And then they're telling me what I am, who I am, and what do I do. I had a therapist once tell me, you don't have trauma because you don't talk about it, and um, just get over it. I've had one therapist that told me to get over my anger and tell me who I am and what I am, and I don't like that. That's, you know, I don't know. So let me know what you think, if you relate to this or not. If you do have alexithymia, let me know, but I don't relate to that. I can get to step 1 and 2 of identifying and recognizing my emotions and whatever the fuck, and knowing why, but I can't get to the meditative state. Um, I try. I mean, sometimes I do, actually. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I do take my anger and put it into music or listening to music, making music, or I'm meditating, but some days I just can't at all. I fly off the handle. So, I don't know. Let me know if you relate to any of this. Don't expect these videos often. This is a music channel. I don't think I'm going to turn this into a song, because I think if I turn this into a song, it would be very distracting. Um, so yeah, these are just very rare videos that you'll find on my channel of just ranting. Um, but this channel is not mental health. This channel is mostly for music. So yeah. So yeah. So for now on, I'm not gonna look up emotional intelligence anymore. I don't care about that. And emotional dysregulation, that's too vague of a term. I'm just gonna look up anger issues for the rest of my life, I guess. I don't know where my anger comes from exactly, what disorder, but that's always gonna be a mystery for me, I guess. I don't know.